Okay, before learning about atoms, we have to learn a little bit about matter. There's a variety of simple concepts that you have to have some knowledge of. The first thing, what is matter? Matter is anything that takes up space or has mass. So mass is the amount of material in an object, volume is the amount of space that it takes up. Those two combinations together make up matter. There are three states of matter that we are concerned with. The first is solid, which has atoms that are closely packed together. They don't move a whole lot. And then as we move down the list, from liquids, they are more loosely packed. They can slip around each other, and gases, they can move freely. And that movement equals energy. So the more that they move, the more energy that there is. There is a fourth state of matter, and we're not concerned with that in this class, but it's called plasma. Plasma is a really high energy state of matter, usually occurs only in the sun or in things like lightning. There are several combinations of matter. The first one we're going to talk about here is not actually a combination of matter. That's why this asterisk is here. An element is essentially a one atom unmixed with anything else. For example, copper. You could have a big chunk of copper and it would just be a bunch of atoms of that one element. The next term that we need to be familiar with is what's called a molecule. A molecule is just a general term for a combination of atoms. So anytime you have more than one different type of atom combined together, it's a molecule. The first more complex step is what's called a compound. Now, a compound is a molecule. It's a combination of atoms, but in this course of this combination, there has been a property change. And what that means, I'll give you an example here. This one listed right here is H2O. We're familiar with that, and that's hydrogen and oxygen. And what we mean by a property change is hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas, but when we combine them together and they make water, then this is a liquid. And I know water doesn't always exist in liquid form, but we have a property change between the two here, and that's an example of a property change. Another example of a property change would be what happens with salt. Now, salt's chemical formula is Na, which is sodium, and Cl, which is chlorine. Now, sodium is a solid, and it's very unstable. And chlorine is a gas, and it's extremely poisonous. But if we combine them together, then we end up with this, which we can put on your food, and it's not poisonous. So that's another example of a property change, about how we can combine things together and end up with something different. And in order to also be a compound, it has to be chemically separated, which means you couldn't use your hands or some apparatus to separate those two again. You have to have electricity or some other chemical implement. The other one is a mixture. And a mixture has no property change. It can be physically separated, even if it was, if you had a microscope and some really tiny forceps, you could separate all these things. Some examples of this are, this is ozone, and you can see it's a combination of 3 oxygen put together. And so that is not a change. It's 3 oxygen gases, and we end up with a gas when we're all done. And then the classic example is trail mix, which is things like raisins and nuts and M&Ms, which is really the good part. And those can be physically separated if we wanted to. So those are your examples of the different combinations of atoms.